Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, Module 3. Hey, I'm excited about this one, guys. I say God got me excited, but I'm excited about this one. Really excited about it because this module, this month, guys, we're going to be talking about the spiritual entrepreneur. And some of you are like, Darius, I'm not an entrepreneur. Let me finish my lesson. And maybe you'll see. Just because, every person that owns a business is an entrepreneur. And there are people who are entrepreneurs that don't own businesses. So I don't want you to assume that you automatically understand where I'm going with this, guys. This is going to be an incredible month. And I can't wait to lean into this lesson. I want to get right to it because today's lesson is going to focus on unpacking and exploring this concept of the spiritual entrepreneur. Now, here are a few keys that I think are worth rehearsing and repeating. Here's the first one. Our life consists of different parts, right? So you've got the relational part of your life, the financial part of your life, the professional part of your life, the recreational part of your life, the emotional part of your life, the spiritual part of your life. So all of our life consists of different parts. Our life is a pie with different slices. Look at me, lock in, big energy, attention affects retention. It's only revelation that causes a revolution in your behavior. All right? So our life consists of different parts. Got me? However, all parts are not equally consequential. Wow. So there are some parts that are more consequential and more catalytic than others. So unequivocally, undeniably, which is why we do not remove spirituality from this program, because I don't believe you can self-optimize without it. However productive someone is, they'd be way more productive if they had spiritual intelligence. However fulfilled someone claims to be, they'd be way more fulfilled if they had spiritual intelligence. As a matter of fact, you can't even really get consistent fulfillment without spiritual intelligence. Where am I getting at? The most important part of your life is a spiritual part. When you write this down, note takers are move makers. Look at me, note takers are move makers. You got to have an information management system. Knowledge is like medicine. You don't need it all the time, but when you need it, you need to know where to find it. Come on here. I don't need Tylenol or Advil all the time, but when I need it, I need to know where to find it. When we get better spiritually, everything gets better. Because the spiritual part of your life is the catalytic part of your life. It's the consequential part of your life. It means that when you improve there, it ultimately has an indirect impact on every area of our life. We're a better parent when we become a better person spiritually. It doesn't mean that our spirituality is the only thing that we have to work on to parent, but it does mean that when we work on our spirituality, it affects our parenting. It affects us as a spouse. And it affects us entrepreneurially. Darius, when you say a spiritual entrepreneur, what do you mean? First of all, Daniel is a spiritual entrepreneur. A Daniel, good people doing God's work in the public sector for the common good. God's people doing good work in the public sector for the common good. Daniel, a world changer. He's using his influence, impact, income to change the world. Is a spiritual entrepreneur. What's that, Darius? Here it is. Write this down, guys. A spiritual entrepreneur is a person that feels called by God to create services, products, or programs that help others live life as God intended. Come on, write it down. Pause me, rewind, repeat, and write this down. It's a person that feels called by God to create a service, a product, or programs that help other people live life as God intended. Now, every Daniel should be serving someone else. In our very first spiritual intelligence module, all of this is consequential, guys. We talked to you about spiritual gifts, and you've been given spiritual gifts so that you as God's people can do good work in the public sector for the common good. So we've got these gifts, guys, to serve others. So I have a teaching gift. I'm serving with it. I have a coaching gift. I'm serving with it. I have a leadership gift. I'm serving with it. I'm using my spiritual gifts to serve others. So when I'm creating avenues to serve others, I'm acting entrepreneurially. Did y'all hear what I just said? I'm going to say it one more time. When I'm creating avenues to serve others, innovating avenues to serve others, what am I doing? I'm acting entrepreneurially. When a person comes up with a plan to feed the hungry, they're providing a service, right? When they innovate a way to do that, what are they doing? They're acting entrepreneurially. When someone sees problems in the community and they come up with a program to help address some of those issues. My mom was the progenitor for this program in Kilmichael, Mississippi called Even Start. Now, I think it was like I think it was a national program, but it did not exist in a small town like Kilmichael, Mississippi. So if for any reason people didn't get their high school diplomas, they didn't really have any other avenues to continue their education. She was the first person to bring that program to Kilmichael, Mississippi, to construct it in a way where it recruited people who needed them, who needed a GED, and walked people through the process of actually receiving it. What was she doing? That wasn't her own business, but she was acting entrepreneurially. I hope your head is like that mind blown emoji right now. That's what I hope is going on in your head. So some people create services, and some people, watch this, some people deliver those services relationally, and some people deliver those services professionally through the avenue of business. But whether you're doing it relationally or whether you're doing it professionally through the avenue of business, from a kingdom perspective, you're operating entrepreneurially. Maybe not from a culture's perspective, which attaches an exchange of income for goods or services. Maybe not from a culture, but from a kingdom perspective, you can deliver it professionally or you can deliver it relationally. Now, let me take it a step further. If you're actually a Daniel, you're doing, I'm not gonna, y'all don't want me to go there. You don't want me to go there. Because if you're actually a Daniel, you understand that there are going to be times where it's not this or that for you, it's this and that. A spiritual entrepreneur feels called by God to create services or products or programs that help others live life as God intended. Listen, a spiritual entrepreneur is a slingshot maker. Woo! See, we often look at the story of David and Goliath, and we look at David using the slingshot. Come here, come here. I want you to think about who made it. Somebody made the slingshot David used. And a spiritual entrepreneur is a maker of slingshots that are used to help people defeat the Goliaths in their lives. Spiritual entrepreneurs see their services or they see their companies, both for-profit and non-profit, as delivery systems for the value they want to add to the lives of others. A Daniel, guys, is a spiritual entrepreneur, whether they are a business owner or not, because they feel called by God to deliver a service, create a product, or lead a program that helps others live life as God intended. I don't really think you can accomplish your purpose without thinking this way. Spiritual entrepreneurs, come on, let's go back to our kickoff event, understand the doctrine of vocation, that God is at work through the work of most people, that he answers our prayer for daily bread by the work that his people do. That God provides for his people through the vehicle of entrepreneurship. Is the den adding value to you? It's a question. Is the den adding value to you? I hope it is. I hope it is. But this is an instrument. It's an entrepreneurial endeavor that hopefully God's using to help us become world changers. Good people doing God's work in the public sector for the common good, who are using their influence, their impact, their income to change the world. Come here. So really quickly, I know this is just kind of this. I hope this is good stuff, guys. I want to give you 3 key characteristics of spiritual entrepreneurs, and then we'll wrap up for this week's training. And I want you to make sure you lock in to the Lunch and Learn this Wednesday with Coach Laquan to process some of this. I need you to process this in community. And I want us to be generous in that Lunch and Learn so that we talk as much as we need to get our point across, but as little as possible so that we give others space to contribute. I want you also to lock into the book club this Friday. Let's talk about Thou Shalt Prosper. We got to have some mindset shifts there. But I want to give you 3 keys here. 3 key characteristics of spiritual entrepreneurs. Here's the first one. Number 1, their work derives from a sense of calling. It means that internally you wrestle with 2 tensions. There is a, I get to do this, but then there's also, I have to do this. See, feeling a have to isn't evil. Feeling a have to isn't unappreciative. This is what the Apostle Paul said. He said, woe unto me if I preach not the gospel. He said, I have to. Something's compelling me to do this, prompting me to do this, pushing me to do this, urging me to do this. There's a have to. Jeremiah said when he was dealing with the frustrations and disappointment of his service to others, he said, man, I said to myself, I'm done. I'm going silent. I won't make mention of God. I won't say anything in his name, but his word was in me like a burning fire shut up in my bones. Their work derives from a sense of calling. They wrestle with this. Man, I get to, but I have to. And there's some things I'm trying to push you into your have to. You get to do your have to. Okay, here's the second thing. People are their priority. That's important, especially for those of us that are in the business space. It doesn't mean that we can't be profitable. We should be profitable. Even when Malachi talks about the idea of the tithe, that says, when God talks about the idea of tithe through Malachi, he says that there might be meat in my house. He says, I want meat in my house. Proverbs 3, so that your barns may be filled and your vats may overflow with new wine. So the Bible's not anti-profit, it is anti-exploitation. We don't exploit others. We don't lie to get people to buy. We don't say things that aren't true to get people to do, because people are our priority. Serving them becomes priority, not just selling to them. And then here's number 3. Spiritual entrepreneurs use their profit purposefully. OMG, Darius. They use their profit purposefully. They don't use the profit flippantly. They don't use the profit unwisely. They don't just use the profit irresponsibly. They don't just use the profit for bling and things. Not a spiritual entrepreneur, not a Daniel. They use it purposefully so that they're able to be generous, first of all, to their natural family. And that's a completely different conversation that we could talk about later. But that immediate family, your immediate family, spouses, children, etc. Then when it comes to people outside that house, then there's a different kind of conversation that we got to have. Not saying that we shouldn't be, but there have to be some qualifiers. You know, people that can't do, not people that won't do. But we should be generous to our own family. Don't apologize if you're able to be generous to your children. Don't apologize if you're able to be generous to your spouse. You're supposed to be generous to everybody else and not people in your own family. Generous to their natural family. Secondly, generous to their spiritual family, the church. And then generous to the human family. Just people that are in need, causes, entities. That's what a spiritual entrepreneur does. We use our profit purposefully to be generous. I could even say generous to ourselves to a degree, right? Generous to yourself. So hopefully you're included in the natural family. When I say that, I want you to know you're included in that. Solomon talks about enjoying the fruit of your own labor. But generous to their natural families, generous to the spiritual family, and generous to the human family. You, sir, you, ma'am, are called to be a spiritual entrepreneur. This is your homework for today. I want you to type, whenever you do this training video, type in the Facebook group your takeaway from this lesson. For some of you, it's going to be, I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. Some of you is going to be, I never heard of the term spiritual entrepreneur. But that's the kind of conversation I want to get going in that Facebook group, okay? And remember, we're going to pick a den mate of the month because we want to see who's regularly and consistently committing to take this to the next level. All right, my people, that's it for today's training. Wednesday, lunch and learn. Friday, book club. We're going up, guys. I'll see you next time.